I had investment in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and honestly I lost money because I was greedy. I made a decent amount of money and I wanted to make 10 or 100 times more. I always knew that I'm born to be an entrepreneur. It was a painful but a good lesson for me. The United States government printed 11 or 12 trillion dollars. They just invented the money out of nothing. What is the highest paid price for the real estate in Metaverse?
I have no idea.
$4.3 million. That amount of money to buy a piece of land in Metaverse.
Can you introduce yourself briefly to us?
My name is Bogdan Vujović. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Belgrade, Serbia. I have finished the Faculty of Law. After finishing Faculty of Law, I started my associate program in one of the biggest commercial law firms in Belgrade. But to be honest, I didn't like the atmosphere and the way of work and life in that big law firm. I always knew that I'm born to be an entrepreneur, and that only area in which I can be an entrepreneur must be something related to technology. And in the beginning of my associate journey in the law firm, I discovered blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, and honestly I became obsessed with that. I started learning, reading as much as I can. I also invested seriously in some coins, and I lost a lot of money, but it was a good lesson. But nevertheless, on my journey in the blockchain and crypto asset space, I discovered that the biggest use case, the biggest application of that technology, in my opinion, is in tokenization. And of course, we will talk later after that. But besides having a legal background, I also have an economic background. I have the second Master of Arts, which is in investment banking. And due to that, I really have some kind of wider understanding of the problem, because I can look at the problem not only from the legal point of view, but from the economic point of view as well, which gives a great advantage over other people.
Mm-hmm. And how would you describe to us Web3?
Web3 is basically a new way of internet. But as you mentioned, if there is something called Web3, then it must be something called Web2 and Web1. So let's start with the Web1. Web1 is basically the first iteration of the internet. It started in the early 90s, and it was basically a situation when you go to some website and you can only passively consume the content on that website, meaning that you can read some articles, you can watch pictures, videos, etc. In the early 2000s, Web 2 came, and Web 2 is a natural upgrade to the Web 1, because you can now not only passively consume the content, you can actively produce a content, meaning that, for example, I can post an article, I can post an image, video, and so on. Maybe some 10 years after that, we came to something which is called Web 3. What is the main difference between Web 3 and Web 2? If we take, for example, the biggest tech companies in the world, they are all from the Web 2 sphere. What does that mean? It basically means that all the biggest tech companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, LinkedIn, etc., they made a huge fortune by using their customers' data. Their customers mostly do not pay for the service they use, but because the customers don't pay for the service, they are not clients, they are the product. And the Web3 says something completely different. Web3 says, if I am the owner of my content, if I am the owner of my data, I should be rewarded in some way. Meaning that you cannot, you big tech companies, you cannot only make profit and giving me virtually nothing. Web3 tries to change that paradigm, and we will talk about that.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing. And what's digital assets?
Well, it's a good question. Digital assets are basically synonym with crypto assets. So we can call them crypto assets or digital assets, whatever. But The crypto assets or digital assets would be basically any kind of value in a digital form which can be stored or transferred electronically. To be more precise, because now we are talking more about crypto assets than digital assets, crypto assets can be divided into two large groups, and people often neglect the importance of this. The first group are so-called virtual currencies. Virtual currency, as the name suggests, is basically a type of not currency in a traditional legal form, but more as a means of payment or means of exchange, which is not issued by a central bank, government, or any kind of central authority, but natural and legal persons accept virtual currency as a means of payment or a means of exchange, meaning that you can sell me your product and I can pay you in virtual currency. If we accept to do that, we can skip the part if that is legally okay and how that should be legally done, but that is possible. What would be the good example for virtual currency? That would be Bitcoin or Litecoin or Monero. On the other side, we have something called digital tokens. Digital tokens are basically a file on the blockchain, and in that file you can incorporate basically any right, but not just right, you can incorporate besides rights, assets and services as well, meaning that digital tokens are broader category than virtual currencies itself.
Mm-hmm. Fine, thank you. And when it comes to blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum and so on, how did it all start?
That's a good question. The blockchain as a technology is not something that new. What is blockchain basically? Blockchain is basically a distributed ledger of all transactions that ever happened in a network. What is the biggest advantage of blockchain over some centralized database? Because blockchain is decentralized, meaning that the entire network is not in one central place or central server. The entire network is basically distributed on a huge number of participants called nodes, and each node has the entire list of transactions that have ever occurred in a network, meaning that if there is, for example, 10,000 nodes, you can virtually eliminate all of them except one, of course, and the network will still survive. For example, if there is some kind of centralized database, and maybe it has 2 or 3 backups, if you eliminate all 2 or 3 backups, then you're basically done with that. What is also very important regarding blockchain as a technology is that all transactions in the blockchain network are immutable, meaning that they cannot be changed. You cannot change a transaction that had happened. That is not possible, and that is a great advantage over some other databases. Why I'm saying that? Because in 2008, at the beginning of the world financial crisis, Bitcoin white paper appeared. It was written by anonymously Satoshi Nakamoto. We do not know even today who is or who was Satoshi Nakamoto, male, female, group of person. Actually, it's not that important. What is important about Bitcoin as the first virtual currency and the most famous and most important cryptocurrency so far. Cryptocurrency is basically a synonym with virtual currency, just to be precise. Bitcoin basically solved the problem of double spending in the digital world. What can I do with Bitcoin? I can send you my Bitcoin. It is not important where I'm located and where are you located. I can send it without using any kind of intermediary. I can send it directly to you, peer-to-peer, so-called peer-to-peer network, and it can happen very fastly and with a very low expense. I'm not sure if all of our viewers are aware of that change, but it's a complete change. Why? Because if I want to send you money and I'm here in Serbia and you are, for example, in Australia or whatever, then in that case, my money must pass to, 3, 4, 5 different banks, even more than 5 banks, And you can imagine what would be the fee for me to send you $100 or maybe $10,000. It's not important. That's the first issue. The second issue, if we do not fulfill all the conditions prescribed by the bank, PayPal, Western Union, whatever, I cannot send you my money. Also, I am, how to say it, I'm suspected to do something illegally. I must prove to the bank or financial institution that basically that's my money and that I'm not doing anything illegally. With Bitcoin, you shouldn't do any of that, because I can send you my money freely, directly to you, without the possibility that some third party can interfere, stop me from giving you my money, or there is no possibility for any third party to seize my money or to seize your money, as we can see the situation today with sanctions and the seizure of money and all other kind of assets. So that is basically the biggest advantage of the Bitcoin, which may not seem that wow on the first glance, but believe me, that has never existed before Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was the first thing that solved that problem.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And after the Bitcoin, many people started talking about Ethereum. Can you share your experience or your knowledge about Ethereum?
Yes, those are two similar but very different protocols, in my opinion. Why? Bitcoin is the first virtual currency, as we said, and it's a so-called blockchain of first generation. What does it mean? It basically means that Bitcoin is a payment protocol, meaning that I can send you money, as we discussed earlier. Ethereum would be the blockchain of the second category, to call it like that. Ethereum is much more than Bitcoin. Why? Because Ethereum is basically an infrastructure for decentralized internet. What does it mean? It means that on the Ethereum as a protocol, you, when I say you, I mean developers, can build applications, and that applications are going to be used by some users tomorrow when they are built. How does it function in practice? Let's imagine that Ethereum is a blockchain protocol. As we said, it's an infrastructure. It has own kind of programming language called Solidity. There is a huge demand for Solidity developers. There are not enough people capable of coding in Solidity, and it is a job which is in high demand today. But okay, we have a protocol, we have a programming language. We have something called Ether. Ether is a currency related to the Ethereum protocol. Sometimes people mix these two, but Ethereum and Ether are not the same. Ethereum is a protocol, Ether is a currency connected to the Ethereum protocol. What is the importance of Ether as a currency? For example, if I want to build some application of Ether, or if I want to use application which already exists on the Ethereum, I must pay. Obviously, I must pay something. I cannot pay it in dollars, euros, yuans, or whatever. I cannot even pay in Bitcoin. I can only pay in Ether, which is a native cryptocurrency to the Ethereum protocol. Meaning that if we have more and more applications, well, to be precise, we call it decentralized applications, because it's a little bit different than traditional application. But more and more decentralized applications on the Ethereum protocol, more and more users on the Ethereum protocol, obviously the demand for the Ether as a native cryptocurrency for Ethereum protocol will rise, and the price of the Ether obviously will rise. So basically that would be the two biggest and most important cryptocurrencies or virtual currencies, as we know. First one is Bitcoin, second one is Ether or Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. Would it be unfair question to ask whether Ethereum is something that long-term people should invest in, and in which form or in which amounts? Can you share something about that?
Okay, that's a good question. Personally, I'm not an expert in investing in cryptocurrency, nor do I give any kind of investment advice. But obviously I can share my personal opinion about some subject. In my opinion, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be bigger and bigger. Definitely, they're both going to be bigger and bigger. We can talk more about Bitcoin, but when it comes to the future of Bitcoin, there are, just how to say it, two different roads. First road is that Bitcoin become the world's biggest and most used currency, in my opinion, and in the opinion of much smarter and more informed people than me. That won't happen. The second possible road for the Bitcoin would be to become a digital gold 2.0. I think that is the more likely to happen, meaning that the rise of the price of the Bitcoin will just go up, maybe not on the short run, but on the long run, definitely. On the other side, Ethereum. What is great about Ethereum? If we talk about any kind of blockchains, obviously Bitcoin's blockchains and Ethereum's blockchains are not the only blockchains existing in the world. There are much more, but the Ethereum's blockchain is the most used. It's definitely the blockchain with the highest number of users and applications. What does it mean? As we said, Ethereum protocol is basically an infrastructure for decentralized internet. And if you position yourself to be an infrastructure, the most important infrastructure in the world of Web3, and if we all predict that entire Web3 will be bigger and bigger, then you cannot go bad with being the biggest and most important infrastructure provider in Web3 world. So, to conclude, my personal opinion on the both Bitcoin and Ethereum is very, very bullish. Bullish means that I have a strong positive expectations about both Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Great explanation. Thank you for that. When it comes to market size, what's your opinion on that?
Well, if you look at some statistics, the current market size of the entire crypto industry, to say like that, is about $1 trillion. Honestly, it is not that much. But first, to explain what is the market size or market cap. Market size or market cap would be basically the number of all cryptocurrencies listed somewhere, multiple their current value. And that would be about $1 trillion. For example, if we take a look at the Bitcoin's market cap, it's something like 319 billion. And the Ethereum market cap is something like 190 billion. Those are not big sums in an absolute term. The market itself is not that big. The biggest market cap of crypto, as far as I can remember, was about 3 trillion last year, which is 3 times bigger than now. But I wouldn't look at that in the terms of just pure amount of money. Okay, it's an important indicator, but it's not all about that. I think it's more about the number of people who are using technology, not just number of people who are trading cryptocurrencies. That's okay. We can mostly hear in media about trading crypto, what's the actual price of Bitcoin, well, when will be the next bull run, the next bear run. Okay, I can completely understand that, but for all of us who are really deep in this world, we do not care that much about the current price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or what is the current market cap of entire market. We are more focused about technology, adoption of that technology, and general education of the people, businesses, and governments, because we cannot expect the widespread use and adoption without educating the people, businesses, and obviously governments. And that is what are all we who are in the industry, we are mainly focused on that.
And what is decentralized finance?
That's a good question. Decentralized finance is basically a new type of financial system which is made on a completely other paradigm, to call it like that. Why? Because if we look at the world system as it exists today, it is completely centralized. What does it mean? let us go back to our example. If I want to send you money, I cannot do it on my own unless I'm using Bitcoin. But if I want to use some bank, Western Union or PayPal, I can do it only through the intermediary. If I want to take a loan, for example, I must do that through a bank or other financial institutions. If I want to get an insurance, I must do that through an insurance company, and the list go on. What is the main point of the financial system? The main idea of the financial system basically was to connect two groups of peoples, one who have a surplus of capital and one who are in demand for capital, and that is a good use case, meaning that if I have a capital and you need a capital to start a business, or I don't know, if you want to build a school, a road, or whatever, through financial markets, through the intermediaries in the financial market, I can give my money to that intermediaries and they can give that money to you. You need that money, you will do something with that money, you will pay an interest, the financial intermediary will be happy and I will be happy. And that's not bad idea at all. Why? Because all those financial intermediaries are heavily regulated legal persons, meaning that they need to fulfill a bunch of certain conditions, whether it's about capital threshold, the people who are management, I don't know. They need to do a lot of things in accordance with law, and they need to, and if they do not do that, they will be punished. But what happened in the meantime? The financial industry became how to say it, became an entity completely independent of its original purpose. They become the world for itself. They started serving themselves, not the industry, not the governments, not the people. And because of that, we got something like 2008 world financial crisis. We all know what happened. We all know what happened during the coronavirus pandemic. For example, United States governments printed, I don't know, like 11 or 12 trillion dollars. They just invented the money out of nothing. Now we have the problem with inflation. Now we have an energy crisis and so on. Why I'm saying that? Because traditional financial system has come to the point where you cannot basically service your debts. Why? For example, if you look at the complete world gross domestic product, which is something like 80 or 90 trillion dollars, do you know what is the amount of global debt? 3.5 times bigger than complete global gross domestic product. I mean, it is more than obvious that you cannot service that debt with the current GDP or with the current cash flow. There is not enough money in the circulation to pay that debt, and that debt is becoming just bigger and bigger. I just wanted to point out to some of the problems with the current financial system. Obviously, we can talk about that for a days or a weeks or a month. It's a really huge subject. And because of all mentioned and unmentioned problems of current traditional financial systems, people came to the conclusion that if we have blockchain technology now, can we do something with financial system? Can we make financial system better, less expensive, open to everyone, and so on? And in that sense, people basically invented decentralized finance. What is decentralized finance? Decentralized finance is basically a financial system which is open to everyone, which is using blockchain technology and smart contracts. What is the essence of decentralized finance? The essence is that I do not need to use an intermediary like a financial institutions. I can do it directly with you as other user of network. We do not need intermediaries. I do not need to trust to an intermediary. I need to trust the code. And what is the code? The code is a smart contract. Let me give you an example. In traditional financial system, what the banks do? They basically collect someone's money, give you that money, you pay the interest, and I as a bank give that money, of course with some interest, which is smaller than the interest you have paid to me, and everyone is happy. In the decentralized world, there is, as I said, there are no intermediaries. There is something called decentralized or lending protocols. And how that lending protocol works. Basically, anyone can give money, anyone can lend, anyone can borrow money. For example, if you need $1,000, you can borrow. But what is the process? What would be the procedure? Procedure would be, if you need $1,000, you need to deposit firstly, for example, $1,500 more than that you are going to get, and you deposit that. You got your money. Why would you need your money? Because you have deposited $1,500 not in dollars but in crypto. You don't want to sell that crypto because maybe you think that the price of that crypto will go up. You do not want to sell it because in that case you can incur the tax on capital gains and you do not want to pay tax. But you need some fresh money or fresh crypto, whatever. If you have deposited the $1,500, you can lend $1,000. That can be in dollars, that can be in crypto, whatever. It's not that important now. If you do not return the money, there is collateral that you have deposited. But what, for example, the value of the collateral start decreasing. For example, if the value of the collateral from 1,500 decrease to, I don't know, 1,200, in that case your collateral will be sold automatically, so that protocol gets its money. What is the another benefit, advantage of the lending protocol? That would be that there are no know your customer procedures, there are no any kind of anti-money laundering procedure, there is you do not have to fulfill any kind of conditions if you want a loan. You just need to deposit sum of money, which is, for example, 50% bigger than the money you want to lend. In a nutshell, basically it's a lending protocol mechanism. And it is just one of the many DeFi means decentralized finance. It's one of the many DeFi use cases.
Mm-hmm. And on the subject of use cases, can you tell us something more about acquiring capital by issuing digital tokens?
Okay, that is one of the first, but not obviously the most important use cases of tokenization. Why I would be thinking, for example, if I'm a company, if I want to acquire a capital, why would I be thinking about issuing tokens and, I don't know, not going to the bankers or venture capital funds or private equity funds or doing an initial public offering or whatever? In the first place, issuing tokens is more simple from the regulatory point of view and from the economic point of view. Why it is more simple? Because there are less strict regulations when you want to issue tokens than if you want to issue financial instruments. Of course, you need to be aware of the fact that your token is not the same as financial instrument, because in that case you will be obliged to fulfill all the conditions related to financial instrument. But let's say that there is a huge possibility that you can structure your token, that you can get the money you need and not to trigger financial instruments obligation, which is very important. Secondly, I mentioned that it is more effective, it is more economically effective, meaning that I can now issue my tokens and, for example, I can get the money out of my customers, out of the people, from people who are already buying my products and services. I do not have to use an intermediary, which would be some kind of investment bank or whatever intermediary in the financial system. I can do it directly to my customers without using intermediary. What would be the third obvious benefit? Now we live, unfortunately, in the time of, let's say, world economic crisis and recession, and we all know that in recessions the interest rates are going higher, meaning that now it is much more, it is harder to get a loan. I mean, you can get a loan, but you need to pay a higher interest rate, and it's not all about interest rate. There are some banks that do not want to lend money in the time of crisis and uncertainty, which is now. And it is also a good advantage for tokenization in that moment, because you are not asking a bank to give you money, you are basically asking your consumers to give you money. And we will talk later about some other topics about that.
Okay. When it comes to tokenized business models, can you share a successful example of that?
That's a very good and tough question, but I can share in my opinion, the biggest and most successful tokenization model. That would be Binance. Binance is the biggest world cryptocurrency marketplace or exchange. Binance actually started in 2017. They had their own initial coin offering, and they have acquired, I don't know, maybe few tens of millions. That was not that big money at the time. But what is the point with Binance? Binance is in first place the big ecosystem. They started from being just a cryptocurrency exchange, meaning that I can exchange one cryptocurrency for another, I can sell one cryptocurrency for money, I can buy cryptocurrency, I can exchange whatever, all types of exchanges and buy and sell orders. That was the first use case of Binance. What did they buy? What did they do with the token? When they issued a token, their token name is BNB token, BNB like Binance. When they issued BNB token, they said, okay, if you are a trader, for example, you can pay a trader's fee in crypto, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, or you can pay your trading fees in BNB, in our token. If you decide to pay in BNB, then you will get a 50% commission, meaning that you will not pay, I don't know, 100, you will pay 50, which is a great. Now that commission is maybe like 20-25%, it doesn't matter. But in the first place, you were incentivized to pay the trading fees with BNB, not with any other kind of crypto. Later, they added some other functionalities in the Binance ecosystems, something like Binance Launchpad, Binance Launch Pool, Binance BNB Vault. You can even pay for real estate in some jurisdictions using BNB token. You can pay for travel expenses. They virtually got their own debit or payment card in which you can pay for a completely free without any kind of provision in BNB token. Basically, they got an entire ecosystem, and they said to their customers, you can use all of our services. It's not only trading, but everything what we mentioned. You can pay us in crypto, or you can pay us in BNB token, in our token. If you decide to pay us in our token, that you will get some kind of discounts. Why would I do that as a user? Because obviously I get a discount in the first place. In the second place, if we are using more and more BNB token, then the price, then the demand for the BNB token will rise. In the same time, the price of that token will rise, meaning that if I use a BNB and I pay for the trading fees with BNB, not just that I get the discount, but all the other BNB tokens that I am holding are also raising value, which is a great for me. And on the first place, the entire Binance ecosystem grows in the value. Why? Because Binance has more and more users who are incentivized to use their token, to use BNB token. The price of the BNB token goes up, and the price of the entire Binance ecosystem goes up. I didn't mention one interesting point about Binance. They made basically a promise on the beginning of their token journey that they will burn the 50% of tokens, meaning that in the first, they said it will be 200 million, and out of 200 million, we will burn 100 million. But how we will burn? We will, in the first place, we will buy back those tokens from the profit, not from the revenue, but from the profit. For example, 20% of our profit, we will use that profit to buy back the tokens, and we will burn our own BNB tokens quarterly. Meaning, for example, in the last quarter of this year, they have burned something like 600 million in BNB tokens. Personally, I don't know any company, financial, technology company, whatever, which has burnt 600 million just in one quarter. I personally don't know that. So that would be in my opinion, the very best use case of token in any kind of business.
Mm-hmm. And the point of burning them is actually what? Controlling what?
Actually controlling the supply and the demand, and more importantly, to increase the price. Because if you have less something on the market, the price will go up. If you have more on the market, the price will go down.
In plastic terms, something like anti-inflation strategy.
Exactly.
Since LinkedIn has become a global marketplace or a global 24/7 networking event, I browse a lot of LinkedIn profiles, and on your profile, tagline says helping companies tokenize assets, rights, and services. What do you mean by that?
It's a good question. We at EcoDigital, I'm a partner in EcoDigital. EcoDigital is a full-scale tokenization advisory firm here in Serbia. We are specialized in tokenizing businesses. And we do not just in Serbia. We have clients not just from Serbia, obviously. We have clients from abroad. What we want to do? We want to help businesses, not just the businesses who are already in the Web3, but also the businesses from the Web2 to transfer to the Web3. And what would be the best way for them to do that? Simply to issue token. But we talk about issuing tokens as a means of raising capital, which is a great starting point, but it is just the starting point, just the entry point. In other words, why would you want to tokenize your business? Because you want to share some value with your customers. You want to share not just the maybe profit or revenue, but also you want to reward your customers for being loyal to you. What is so great about token? Let me try to explain it in another way. For the first time in the history of economy, finance, you can incorporate in a token few different rights. First would be the means of raising capital. We already mentioned that you can raise the capital by issuing tokens. The investor will give you some money or crypto, and they will get your tokens in return. Second thing, you can use your token as a means of payment in your ecosystem, meaning that your investors in token, your token holders, can pay for your services and products in tokens. Obviously, if they are going to pay you in your tokens, that, as we mentioned with Binance, they must have some kind of discount or some kind of advantage, because if they want to pay in tokens, you must give something in return to them. Third is you can allow your investors in token to participate in the revenue stream or even in the profit. 4, you can make a capital gain on your token if you structure your token to be anti-inflationary, as you said, or to be deflationary. You can make a mechanism to rise the value of the token, meaning that if your business is more and more successful, in the same time the price of the token will go up, meaning that the token will replicate the success of your business, And you can do all the four stuffs that I mentioned. First one, raising capital. Second one is a means of payment, right to participate in the revenue or profit, and for the possibility to have a capital gain on the token. You can do all of these four things without giving away your equity or making a debt obligation. I'm not sure if you can understand what is the power of change in this, because now you can basically share the risk of your business with your investors, but not giving away your equity or creating obligation of debt. For example, if I take a loan in the bank, I have an obligation. I must get that loan to the bank. I must pay the loan and the interest. It's my obligation. It's not important if I run a successful business or if my business go bankrupt. If I go bankruptcy, banks have a way to get their money out of me. But with a token, it's a completely different stuff.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for explaining. Savvy business leaders are on the constant lookout for business competitive advantage. Is it possible to use tokenization in some more ways in order to get competitive advantage?
It is definitely possible to use tokenization. Why would we even consider about using tokenization or anything new in that regard? Because in our opinion, a lot of businesses and entire world economy has come nearly to the point of saturation, meaning that there are no that many ways to create new value. And if we cannot lower our prices, if we cannot invent anything genius in the marketing sphere or whatever, why we do not think about giving away part of our value, part of our success, not to the investors, not to the banks, but to the people with whom we made that success. And who are that people? That people in the first place are the people who are buying our products and services. And it's not just about simple loyalty programs to make them loyal, to stay with us. Why don't go one step further? Why we do not give some kind of reward to that people? And what would be better reward for them than to give them a sense of our profit or even revenue, or even to make them not a shareholder in a legal point of view, but in economic point of view. If you are getting some kind of profit, then from an economic point of view, you are shareholder.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to explain it in one example? Let's say you are selling, I don't know, digital courses, and I buy one course from you every month. Is it possible to use tokenization to somehow reward me so I can share your profit or your revenue? Is it possible to explain on something simple as that?
Well, it's possible. Maybe it's not the best use case because not all businesses are suitable for tokenization or for a blockchain technology. But okay, I will try to answer your question. It is possible. For example, if I can have something like subscription to your courses, and that subscription can be in the form of NFT. NFT means non-fungible tokens, meaning that every NFT is a unique. So for example, if there is a subscription on my name, that can easily be done in the form of NFT. Okay, I have an NFT, and meaning that every month I get one course from you, for example. If I have that NFT in a subscription form, you can give me some kind of discount because I am your loyal customer. Okay, but that shouldn't be the end of that story. What can be the next step? The next step can be, for example, that I can also have a right to participate in the profit of selling of those courses, for example, or because of that NFT, I can also be motivated to think about selling your courses to someone else. If I decide to do that, you can give me rewards for that as well. For example, if I sell 3 or 5 of your courses, I can be rewarded, and it can be done completely automatically through the NFT, for example. So that would be one pretty basic use case of tokenization, but as I said, not all businesses are suitable for blockchain and tokenization, and that's completely fine.
And what businesses generally are suitable for that?
That's a good but also a tough question. We are thinking a lot about that when we are trying to portray our ideal client. The most suitable businesses for the tokenization on the first place would be the businesses that are already digital. For example, if you have any kind of applications, if you are selling online your products or services, if you are doing anything in the digital world, then you are most likely to be suitable for tokenization.
Okay. For example, if we produce an application for the salespeople, helping them run their day-to-day activities, something different than CRM, and we would like to sell that application all around the world. Is that possibly the good application for the affiliate program of some kind?
Affiliate program or referral program, how you would like to call it, is definitely a good use case. Let me explain why. We all know what is the affiliate network, meaning that if you are selling any kind of product and I can be your affiliate partner, meaning that my job is to create a network of people beneath me, and those people should be buying your product. And from every single person in my network who is beneath me, I get some kind of provision for every buy. Okay. I can make, if we tokenize that, if we tokenize my business positions, meaning that I have 100 people beneath me and they are buying your products every single month, and I get, for example, 10% of each buy. And if I have, I don't know, 1,000 euros every month because of my network, that means that I am incentivized to bring more and more people to your network. If I have 300, that means that I will get more money, and you, as a business who is selling that product, you are happy with that. But for example, what if one day I decide that I'm not going to do that anymore, but I want to sell my network? How I can sell my network? Because what is the worth of my network if I get $5,000 every month? Why I cannot sell my network to someone else? Because that network, that's not just a network of bunch of people, that's basically my business. And I've been creating that business, I've been creating my network for years. And if I decide to do that, the NFT would be a great form to do that. Why? Because thanks to the NFT, the entire process of paying and for me getting my fees can be completely automated, you know? And in that sense, I can tomorrow, when I don't want to do that business anymore, I can sell my business by selling the NFT. Or to be more precise, I can sell, what is the business? The business in that sense would be my contractual position. I can sell my contractual position just by selling NFT. And that would be it.
Okay. Besides that, are there any major differences between affiliate program using these types of technology versus the standard affiliate program? I send them a link. When they buy my application through that link, they get some type of percentage.
The biggest advantage would be, as I mentioned, the possibility to completely automate that processes, and which is the most important, the possibility to sell that business, to really sell that business, and that can be done in the form of NFT.
Okay, and when you say it's completely automated, Could you please elaborate a little bit, because does it mean that it's not completely automated current referral programs when you use a link and I know that you help me sell one course or one application? What's the difference in automation? Is there a difference in automation between current affiliate programs and affiliate programs using technology that you are talking about?
It's about the how advanced the current technology is. It's all about the business who is in charge of that. I cannot talk specifically about any kind of technology provider, but it all comes to the current technology. But the tokenization of affiliate program is definitely an upgrade to the current system.
I understand. When it comes to Metaverse, could you elaborate more about that?
Well, Metaverse is something that is definitely going to happen. What is the Metaverse in the first place? Well, the Metaverse would be some kind of digital world where we can interact with each other, basically doing anything that we are doing in the real world, but not having any kind of physical restrictions as we have in this world. We all know that Facebook rebranded itself last year. It's not Facebook anymore, it's Meta now, and they want to be the leaders in the world of Metaverse. Regardless of my personal opinion about whether Metaverse is good for the human interaction or not, the Metaverse is something that will definitely going to happen. We now already have different digital worlds in the Metaverse, and in that digital worlds you can do basically everything that you do in the real world, meaning that you can buy products, you can buy services, people are building buildings in the Metaverse, they are renting them, they are selling products and services. For example, JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks in the world, already opened its office in the Metaverse. Now they can serve their clients in the Metaverse.
What does that mean, actually?
That's a good question. I'm not completely sure what that does mean, because, for example, in real digital world, you can serve your client using the telephone or using the video call, and that's completely okay. I'm not sure what would be the added benefit of serving that client in some virtual room, in some virtual building, in some virtual world. Maybe I'm missing some part, but honestly I don't see. But nevertheless, maybe it's not for the world. It's definitely not important what you and what I think. But what is important to know about the Metaverse in terms of tokenization is this. In Metaverse, you cannot use dollars, euros, or any type of fiat currency. If you want to pay for the services or if you want to buy anything in the Metaverse, you need to use tokens. And every digital world in the Metaverse has its own tokens, meaning that every digital world in the Metaverse has its own token economy. Of course, the idea is to make because there won't be only one Metaverse, and there won't be only one big tech company who will control the Metaverse. They will all do together, and they will, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many other experts, they will create a huge number of different worlds in Metaverse. And what would be the essence? Those worlds must be interconnecting, meaning that you can jump from the one world in the Metaverse to the other. Also, as I said, every world in the Metaverse has or is going to have some kind of currency, some kind of tokenized currency, which can be only used in that world. We can see what will happen with there. And also another important use case for tokenization in the world of Metaverse, not just in the economy perspective, is that every item that you are going to own in a Metaverse, whether it's your avatar, whether it's a house, whether it's, I don't know, sneakers, a bag for your avatar, whatever, it will be in the form of NFT. So to conclude, the Metaverse is a perfect habitat. It's a perfect place for token economy, for tokenization, for NFTs.
And could you explain a bit the thing that Gucci did with a digital handbag or something like that?
Exactly as I said, they just sold a handbag. I think the price was something like $4,000. They sent a digital handbag which exists only in a digital world, and they did it in a form of NFT. I'm not sure if you know, but do you know what is the price of what is the highest paid price for the real estate in Metaverse?
I have no idea.
$4.3 million. Someone paid that amount of money to buy a piece of land in Metaverse.
In Metaverse. And what do you think is the main motive of Facebook or Meta to start that transition? So they are doing something different, okay? But is it hard to forecast what's their benefit? What's the main thing? What's the value?
In my opinion, they did it because they wanted to be first in the Metaverse, biggest and best in the Metaverse. If you take a look at their current market capitalizations, it has decreased. It has decreased a lot since last year. I'm not saying that it's connected with their move to the Metaverse, but their company now is in much worse position than it was 1 year ago. I'm not sure if you have seen, but Apple now is more valuable than Amazon, Google, Meta, meaning Facebook, and Netflix combined.
And why is that? Why is that, you believe?
Well, it's a tough question, but obviously the investors are now in this time of recession and world economic crisis. They have obviously more trust in Apple than in any of those companies. What is also very important about Apple is not only about software. It's much easier to produce software. Apple is also heavy on hardware manufacturing, which is also very, very important. Especially in the time of crisis, yes.
Yeah, they have huge ecosystems. So once people get in, they have a phone, a watch, they have AirPods or whatever, they have a computer. It's more difficult to get out of the system.
That's right, but if you take a closer look, all of the big businesses are ecosystem. Apple is an ecosystem, as you mentioned. Google is an ecosystem. Facebook is an ecosystem. Amazon is a great example of an ecosystem. And what is the great thing about tokenization and the token itself? We already mentioned what are the characteristics of a token, what you can incorporate in a token. Token is made for a digital world and especially for a platform business model, and platform business model is basically another name for an ecosystem. I mean, ecosystem is much more than a platform, but if you have a network effect, if you have millions of billions of users, then a token would be a great stuff to connect the token with all the services you provide, as we explained on the Binance. Example, just try to imagine, for example, that Apple or Facebook or Google or Amazon issues its own token, which will happen in a near future, I'm completely sure. And to give you, because you mentioned the ecosystem, you have a lot of options using an ecosystem. What if Apple issues its own token and say, okay, you can use our token and you can get 20% discount on whatever we offer to you. Can you imagine that? That means that Apple wouldn't need to go to the banks anymore. Why? Because they can get money from their customers. And if their customers give them money to buy tokens, that means that the customers, if they already give money for tokens, they will definitely use the token. And what will happen with the price of the token? It will go up. And Apple will get money. I mean, it's a genius system. Maybe people cannot completely understand on the first glance, which is completely okay. I didn't understand it myself, but it's a very, very important topic, and I'm completely sure that it will be of more relevance in the near future, because everything becomes digitized. We communicate digitally, we do business digitally, we do all kinds of interactions in a digital world, and token is completely made for digital world and especially for the Metaverse.
Since you know a lot about tokenization, the technology that's around that, is there something that you personally invest in or have some type of project in that field besides Eco Digital and consulting and all of those services? Do you also do something that's long-term investment when it comes to tokenization or NFT or anything in that sphere?
I had investment in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I have also invested in some other projects during the 2018 in the biggest initial coin offering BAM. And honestly, I lost money. Why? Because I was greedy. I made a decent amount of money and I wanted to make 10 or 100 times more. But it was a painful but a good lesson for me. If we talk about any kind of investing, of course, I am for investing. I mean, people should invest, but when? Only when they understand what they are investing in. So definitely my first advice would be to invest in your knowledge, invest in yourself on the first place, be aware of the technology, know what are the crypto assets, virtual currency, digital tokens, what is decentralized finance. I mean, if you cannot understand what problems blockchain and decentralized finance are trying to solve, I'm completely sure that you cannot invest, you cannot understand what concrete problem the projects that you are willing to invest in can solve. So definitely the first thing to invest in would be your own knowledge.
When you mentioned, you don't have to go into details and private stuff, of course, but when you mentioned that you invested some money in Bitcoin and something similar, and that you lost, does it mean that you sold with a lower price, or you didn't sell, just the price went down from the moment that you purchased it?
Basically, I lost money because the project was a fraud. That's it.
Okay. So, okay, I understand. It was in the boom. And the main thing is enough knowledge about the concrete project, yeah?
Yes, about concrete project, but if you want to have some knowledge about concrete project, in the first place, you must understand the technology. You must understand what is the point of the technology, and after you understand that, you can go to the exact project. What is also very important about concrete projects would be to investigate the team behind the project, because you can have the best possible idea in the world, but if the people are not just fraudsters, if the people are not competent enough, the project will possibly not survive.
Okay, and are there more telltale signs that something is a possible fraud?
Well, it's a good question, but I think that you need to analyze one case by itself in order to be sure. I can just tell what are some red flags. Definitely the first red flags would be the people. I mean, if you cannot see the name and surname and the picture of the people, if you cannot find that people on the LinkedIn or in the other social media, if you cannot find some evidences about their previous work, that's also a huge red flag. If they did not publish the white paper, for example, that's also a huge red flag. Why? Because white paper is basically a document which is telling the story about your projects. The point of white paper is to provide investors with enough information why they would invest their money in the project, meaning that in white paper they should explain their token economy, why they're raising money, what is the essence of the token, why they are using token, why they are using blockchain technology, to explain briefly what is the technology in which blockchain they're going to work, stuff like that,
I understand. So if the project and the team isn't transparent, that's the red flag, basically.
That's definitely the red flag, definitely.
Okay. What's the World Bank forecast about tokenization?
Well, in 2019, World Bank forecasted that by 2027, the 10% of world gross domestic product will be tokenized, meaning that something between 8 and 9 trillion dollars will be tokenized.
Okay, meaning that people will use tokens instead of euros, dollars.
Not just in the terms of currency, but also in the more in the terms of value, meaning that the value of the all world's tokenized assets, whether it's an asset, it can be debt, it can be any right basically, but all tokenized assets will be worth $9 trillion.
It's wider than just the currencies. It's wider.
It's wider. It's definitely wider.
I understand. And do you think that young people should look into career of digital assets?
I definitely think yes. I mean, I personally did that. I'm primarily a lawyer, secondary economist, but I realized when I was younger that I cannot be the best in the traditional legal sphere, meaning commercial law. Why? It's so simple, because if someone is in that area for 20 years, it's older, have much more experience, a much better market position, because they started to do that in the very beginning. I cannot possibly be better than them. So I needed to find some young industry and to specialize in that. And I was lucky to find something that was in that time in the beginning. And something that I'm very passionate about and interested in, which is also very, very important. And that's why I would definitely suggest for all the young people to try to make a career in this world. Of course, if they are interested, if they have some kind of passion for this. I mean, if you're not interested, then it's definitely not the best case for you. What would be some positions, I mean, where people can do? There is a huge demand for all kind of Web3 developers, not just for the Solidity or Rust. We definitely need more developers, because at the end of the day, someone needs to code that and to make it technically happen. But besides that, we need the good lawyers who can understand not just the legal point of view, but who can understand from the economical and from the technological point of view. Of course, we need good economists, someone who can understand and who can model the token economy, who can model all the features of the token, who can make token to have some sense. Of course, we need people in marketing or PR. Basically, we need people from every industry, from every traditional industry, to make a skip into the Web3 world.
And in terms of understanding it better and knowing more, where should they start?
Well, I think that definitely the first thing which they should look is on the internet, because you have a really huge amount of free knowledge on the internet, and you can get really familiar with all of these subjects just by reading free stuff. Of course, there are a lot of very, very interesting books. For example, I can name two of them in the world of crypto. The first would be Internet of Money. The author is Andreas Andropoulos. He's a Greek guy. He's one of the biggest Bitcoin evangelists. And the second would be Token Economy: How the Web3 Reinvents Internet. I think that those are the good, excellent two books for starting point. And someone who is interested in this should definitely check out those two books.
Great. And what about regulatory aspect of all of this?
This is a good question. Regulatory aspect is different from a country to country, but the governments recognize the importance of regulating this subject. There is one rule that law always goes behind the technology, meaning that technology is very fast. The things can happen and change really fastly in the world of technology, but the world of law is more traditional, more formal, and it goes beyond it goes after the technology, obviously. Of course, the history has taught us that there is no big market without regulatory aspect. I mean, you cannot expect a huge amount of institutional money going into some market without proper regulation. For example, I would like to point out that we in Serbia, even though we are not that big and important economically worldwide, but we are among the first jurisdictions with a law on crypto assets, and I'm very proud of that. What is even more important that, for example, European Union has no single regulatory framework governing crypto assets, meaning that we are first, we are beyond the European Union in that term. Why is that important? Because European Union is a big marketplace. It's a big marketplace with 450 million people. And what is the essence of a European so-called single marketplace? The essence is that you have a free trade of people, goods, services, and capital. And if we take crypto assets industry, which is very familiar to the financial industry, as we mentioned. For example, in financial industry, if you're a bank, you have pretty much the same conditions you need to fulfill in, I don't know, Belgium, Sweden, Germany, or in Spain. But if you are some kind of crypto assets provider, for example, Binance, and you want to do business in all EU countries, you need to, in every single country, every single legal jurisdictions, you need to fulfill the conditions in that jurisdictions, which are not necessarily the same, which are definitely not the same. Meaning that if you do not have a unique regulatory treatment for crypto assets, you have a problem. Why? Because you have a same regulatory treatment for banks or other financial institutions. So there is a proposal of that regulation. It's so-called markets in crypto assets, and the European Parliament has adopted the proposal, but it will take into force next year or even the year after the next year, meaning that in that time, we as jurisdictions, we have much more favorable regulatory treatment to all businesses who want to deal with crypto assets than the European Union, and we should definitely use that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to entrepreneurs, some of them, or some of us, if I may say that, try to keep an open mind to new things, new technology, and so on. What would be your recommendation or advice for entrepreneurs who are looking for that competitive advantage, maybe work in a sphere of services or consulting or have some digital products? What's the field of tokenization or blockchain or something in that particular manner that they should pay attention to the most?
Well, I need to be more general than you would maybe think, but my first piece of advice would be listen more, talk less. Because if you are in any kind of services business, if you're doing any kind of consulting, what does that mean? That means that you are basically solving someone's problems. You are solving someone's problems, or you are making their business more effective. And if you want to do that, the best option would be to talk less and to listen more.
Okay, so those two books that you recommended, you recommend to them as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Internet of Money and Token Economy, How the Web3 Reinvents the Internet. That would be the great books for entering into the world of crypto assets and DeFi.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Pareto principle or 80-20 principle is something that majority of successful people use. Could you share your experience on using that?
It's a good question. I'm aware, of course, of Pareto principle, even though I don't have it as something that I should do. It's maybe tough to answer that question, because I'm not sure what would be the most important activities that gives me the biggest amount of revenue. But if I can maybe just to change a question a little bit in order to answer you, what would be maybe the best skill for me as an entrepreneur? I definitely think that the biggest and most important skill is how you communicate with people. How you speak to them, how you listen to them, how you can make them feel understood. Maybe that would be the most important skill.
Great, thank you. Thank you for changing the question and making a great answer. Is there any other aspect of tokenization that would be of interest to the world?
Maybe we neglected one thing, and that would be that tokenization and token as an instrument with all the characteristics that we mentioned is definitely more for the young people than for the older people. Why? Because the young people, when I say young, I mean younger than you and me, they are completely acquainted to the cell phone and to the technology, and they are not that familiar with the use of traditional banking apps and so on, but they are completely familiar with use of tokens, NFT, they are playing video games, they are doing all kinds of stuff online, and they are completely familiar with the token. And if you want to address, you as a business, if you want to address to a young people who will grow in the time, they are basically your ideal target group for those kinds of activities.
Great.